All right, let's now shift our attention to what is happening in Sri Lanka that's been embroiled because of the protests that have been taking place over the course of the last week. People are extremely angry over the government's mismanagement of its finances that has resulted in an economic crisis that has not been witnessed since the time of its independence way back in 1948. Sri Lankans have made their dissatisfaction against the president very clear, but Gotabaya Rajapaksa has refused to step down. In the latest, a senior Sri Lankan lawmaker has also issued a grim warning. The Speaker of the Parliament, Mahinda Yapa, has said that the country's 22 million people are facing the threat of starvation because they simply have no food to eat. He also said that even basic amenities like gas and electricity are running short and people are suffering from very long hours of power cuts. Now remember, today will of course be the second day of the special debate in the Parliament session, and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is said to be in attendance. For now though, Sri Lanka is without a finance minister, an energy minister and also an oil minister. The President held a meeting with the government MPs on Wednesday. The topic of discussion is of course contested. Some said that it was over the appointment of a new cabinet ministers, while others said that it was focused on resolving the supply chain issues that have gripped Sri Lanka. The President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who hails from Sri Lanka's most powerful political dynasty, this week has found himself in the middle of complete political chaos after 41 members of his ruling cabinet in fact quit and became independent legislators. The opposition has also declined Rajapaksa's offer to join hands with the government to form an interim unity government. Now, facing a series of setbacks, Rajapaksa interestingly chose to revoke the state of emergency that he had brought into existence on Friday last week. The revocation of this emergency measure came as a sudden move as the ratification by the Parliament looked simply impossible. Now, the Sri Lankan government meanwhile has appointed a three-member advisory group to assist the government in engaging with the International Monetary Fund and also help navigate the economic crisis. The root of the crisis, which is the worst that the country has seen in several decades, lies in economic mismanagement of successive governments. The country's foreign exchange reserves have fallen by almost about 70% in the last 2 years, making it extremely hard for importing essential, including food and fuel. On Wednesday, the Sri Lankan rupee plunged to become the world's worst performing currency. All right, now to give us more insights in terms of what is happening in Sri Lanka today, we are joined in by our correspondent Dasani Athada, who is joining us live from Colombo. Dasani, we are looking at the developments that are unfolding at this point of time. There is a demand both on the street and also within the Parliament that Gotabaya Rajapaksa must step down. But he has clearly said that he's not going to be doing that. But without a majority in the Parliament, how can he hang on to power?
Yes, well, the parliamentary sessions are certainly underway, and like you rightfully pointed out, Saleh, even today, one of the main opposition parties, the Janata Vimukthi Perumuna, the leader of it, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, reiterated his stance and the party's stance that they will not in any way be supporting the president and the president's-led government, and that they will only support in the event that the president steps down. However, also governing MP Johnston Fernando, also speaking in Parliament for the second consecutive day today, reiterated that the president, in fact, will not be resigning and that they will not be defying democracy or going against the country's constitution in order to allow for the president to step down. And from what we see so far, again, in Parliament is pretty much of what happened yesterday, where parliamentarians are still discussing and stating their views and opinions on what they feel like and what the situation is right now, where the entire nation, more or less, is watching the Parliament right now to see how these 225 individuals with the president will come out of this current crisis.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, the president has, however, it appears, has dug his heels. He is facing popular unrest and also he has very little support within the assembly. At this point of time, what is the opposition's game plan? Why is it that without a majority that clearly the government has, why is the opposition not trying to unseat the government?
Well, this is why it gets interesting. Like I said, this is a very unprecedented situation here in Sri Lanka. Now, it is clear that the president has said that he will not resign. However, he has expressed his interest to hand over the government to whichever party that secures 113 seats. That is a simple majority in Sri Lanka's parliament. However, the government's request to come together to form a coalition government has vehemently been opposed by the opposition. And the strange fact is both the opposition parties in parliament right now, from what we see, do not have 113 seats. So right now, what we see is that no political party has a solid show of 113 seats.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. We'll, of course, come back to you as more details emerge in this story. Dasani Thaura, thank you very much indeed for joining us from Colombo. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.